Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is Two-Way Tonight on Election Day, really election night. Thank you for being here. I'm at the headquarters of the New York Post in the New York Post newsroom, and just a very nice but nondescript conference room, getting ready to join my colleagues from the Post for our election special at 8 o'clock Eastern Time tonight. So in less than 2 hours, we'll be anchoring into the evening, covering all the races as only Two-Way can in our partnership with the Post, bring you aggregation of everything that's happening. We'll tell you who's projected races and who hasn't. We'll tell you all about what exit polls are being reported, and we'll bring you all the speeches live that are of interest and all the best reporting. Plus, of course, it wouldn't be Two-Way without your participation. So please join us in a couple hours on. You can watch it if you want to watch one way. You can watch on any New York Post or Two-Way platform. But if you want to be part of the conversation and you haven't yet registered, please go to twoway.tv and sign up to be with us. Raise your hand, tell us what you're seeing, and also questions. So we've got great guests, both from the Post and Two-Way, and then a bunch of other political folks who will join us. Too many to name, but many familiar faces. So join us at 8 o'clock Eastern Time for that. Big stories today remain the election, where the only news we have are the exit polls. What's been put out so far. Basically, the economy was a big deal for voters in all the major jurisdictions. In New York City, where affordability was also a big issue, but in New Jersey, Virginia, California, the economy was a very big issue, number one issue by far, according to the exit polls, and that people are reading that as definitely good for the Democrats, and President Trump's less unpopular in New Jersey and Virginia, according to the exit polls, than he is nationally, but still pretty unpopular. The economy being a big deal, maybe in New Jersey is going to help the Republicans. Good. We shall see. In my world, people are speculating that all the races are going to be blowouts, that Mamdani's going to win big, and that Cheryl's going to win by more than the polling suggested, and that Spanberger will win by a lot. We'll see, but that's what most people are speculating. Democrats, almost to a person, are speculating that, and and some Republicans are too. We'll see. Highest turnout in New York City since 2001. Number one, the New York Times headline. That's maybe the biggest story of the day. Now, if you want to hang on to hope that Cuomo can make this race close, New York Times headline: New York mayor's race draws highest turnout since 2001. A big turnout was essential for him to win. Everybody said. We shall see. So, in a moment, bring out our two great guests, and they are great guests, and they've been with us on big nights in New York too. They're both experienced national political hands, but both also know a ton about Gotham City, where they reside. Elizabeth Pipko, Republican; Naomi Constant, Democrat. They'll both be here in just a minute, and we'll run through a bunch of stuff about the election. Also, the shutdown is another day of tea leaves on both sides. Tea leaves suggesting we're headed towards a deal. Mark Wayne Mullen, you saw in the morning meeting, if you watched, said on cable this morning he thought they'd have a deal by the weekend. Seemed a little optimistic, but there's also tea leaves suggesting no deal. And it's hilarious to me. Republicans continue to say Democrats are going to cave after tonight's election results. I'm not really sure why they think that, because I don't know any Democrats who think that. And both sides continue to get polling from their private pollsters and can look to the public polling and feel perfectly fine saying they'll continue. So I'm probably less bullish on a deal now than I was yesterday at this time, but I really don't know. And as I often say, nobody knows. You could have access to private thoughts of the president, John Thune, Speaker Johnson, Schumer, Jeffries. You can know exactly what they're privately thinking and still not know. So we'll run through a bunch of stuff. What else are we going to cover? We'll have to cover this. Marjorie Taylor Greene was on The View, and what happened will surprise you or not. Um, let's see. This is all about the shutdown. This is all about the shutdown. President talked about the Supreme Court case tomorrow on tariffs. Uh, Senator Padilla, who was thought to be thinking about entering the race for governor of California, not thought to be, he said he was, said today he wouldn't run for governor of California. And that means they're waiting on Mr. Swalwell maybe to run. But I have two of the candidates for governor of California already in the race, uh, doing a debate on Next Up, which I'll tell you about at the end of the program. But that thing is wide open. That race is wide open, and it's interesting to hear two people talk about substance. We'll have that for you in a minute. All right, quick word from a sponsor, and then I'll bring our guests in and start running through what we know about the midterms, what we know about the shutdown, and Marjorie Taylor Greene on The View. First sponsor, old reliable sponsor, our good friends at Cozy Earth. Special sale now, Black Friday coming early to Cozy Earth. Right now, you can get with the discount on the site plus the promo code MARK 40% off your purchase. 40% off. So go to cozyearth.com, site-wide sale, giving you up to 40% off in savings. The deal won't last, so act now. You can get the bamboo sheets, the bubble cuddle blanket, whatever you want. The pants, whatever it is. Right now, use the code two-way on the site. Get 40% off. Holiday shopping happens now if you want to save. And when you get to the post-purchase survey and they say, how did you hear about Cozy Earth? Tell them two-way sent you. Wrap the ones you love in luxury with Cozy Earth. 40% off. Go to cozyearth.com right now. Promo code MARK. Thank you for your attention to that matter. All right, we'll bring in our guests, and we're going to start with just some light conversation, like we're at a cocktail party at the Sliwa victory event. You know, bunch of strangers standing around and having to make small talk. We'll do that here with our guests. Here's Elizabeth, and here Nomi. Welcome back, ladies. Love having you here always, but particularly on election night. And here's my Curtis Sliwa victory party small talk. Nomi, what do you do on election day to kill the time? Like, how do you pass the time on election day?
I think it's really hard for a candidate usually. I think people who are working for the candidate are often still busy monitoring, losing their minds. Candidates are off, at polling sites, but there is a point, I've been a candidate where I literally had to go get a massage one time
Yeah,
because you're just losing your mind. You're like on the edge of your seat. You can't do anything. And then
yeah.
of course,
Have you ever gone to a movie or shopping or anything like that? I guess massage is kind of like that.
the massage was it because it was
Yeah,
needed. And I hadn't had
yeah,
one in like 5 months or something.
yeah. Elizabeth, you got any election day rituals you want to share?
I wish I did. I've only been a part of elections where Donald Trump was on the ballot and my ass was going to prison if he lost. So today's an easy day for
Wow.
me. I'm just enjoying the fact that everything's okay for me no matter what. But no, I mean it's exciting. Today's like just feels like a normal day in history. I've been on the news when like we got, hostage deals done, when major things happen. It feels like a day like that. It's special and no matter what happens, this is the democratic process and I'm excited to be a part of covering it tonight.
All right. I loved hearing what both of you said. My election day ritual, unfortunately, is from 7 a.m. on, receiving texts and emails, including from people I haven't talked to in a year, saying, "Hey, buddy, how you doing? Great. Really wondering what's up with you. How's your son? Hey, you got the exit polls? Hey, you got the exit polls? 7 a.m.
Yes.
No, the exit polls haven't started yet because they're exit polls. People have to vote. So I spend a lot of my election day doing that. And then I spend a lot of my day getting texts from people saying, my dentist waited 2 hours to vote. Turnout's going to be very high today. People wanted to see how turnout's going to be based on their dentist. And then lastly, a lot of texts saying, what are you hearing? And I say nothing, not hearing anything because there's nothing to hear. I want to start maybe in an unorthodox way, but I'm so concerned about playing a productive role in the event that Nomi's candidate, Mr. Mamdani, wins. There are a lot of people who are going to be very upset. There you go. Do you need a license for that, or anybody can buy that?
No, I got it from the actual Hot Girls for Zoran group. They are
But
my
but is there
friends.
is there an interview process or just
I mean, they liked me, and then
yeah,
they gave one to Bill, and
yeah,
then there's a few other
yeah.
people I've been able to give them to.
Bill is nothing if not a hot girl from Mamdani.
He
Just
wore it to the
yeah.
polling site
Really?
today
They
and
make it
posted.
in his size?
They did
Yeah.
extra large.
Did
Yeah.
you see it? Did you see Al Franken is a comedian for Mamdani? Did you see
No,
that?
I missed that. It was
So a
oh
guy
wow.
from the Upper West Side Rag, I think that's what it's called, West Side Rag.
The West Side Spirit, that one.
No, no, no. There's one called the West Side Rag. I think it's something Rag. Anyway, like the editor of some local Upper West Side paper passed a polling place, and Franken was coming out, and he said he voted for Mamdani because he was talking about affordability. Anyway, this is get more serious. I want to read you this. Do you know Abe Greenwald? Do you guys know him? He writes for Commentary. He's on the Commentary podcast. He's very upset, and this is like I think this is the closing paragraph of his essay that he wrote today. This is about the person who could be the mayor-elect in a matter of hours. I cannot wish or even pretend to wish for the excess of an obsessive Jew hater and committed socialist who seeks to impose his twin passions on the city. As he doesn't wish for the success of my people, I hope that every last detail of his governing agenda is a failure. I do so with an easy conscience because it's his success that would doom the city to misfortune. If elected, may he fail spectacularly for the good of the people. He's a very smart guy, a very thoughtful guy, and it breaks my heart to read that. And literally the day Mamdani became the nominee, I said, I know a lot of people are going to find this controversial. Let's pray for his success if he's the mayor of New York City. So, Naomi, start with you. Again, he calls him an obsessive Jew hater. Now, I don't know what the evidence for that is.
Right.
But
yeah.
but just let's deal with our shared reality. This is a guy who writes for Commentary magazine. He's a very respected guy, and he just writes with a clear conscience. He says that Mamdani is an obsessive Jew hater. Thoughts on how we can grapple with the reality of a likely Mamdani victory when someone that thoughtful writes something like that?
Well, I think that maybe they're afraid of reality. I think that people get tied to their versions of what they want people to be, projection wise. And I think a lot of this campaign has been around that and framing him in really unfair light and, not with truth either. I mean, this is a city that it was the most diverse place on the planet, right? And he represents in his assembly district the most diverse borough on the planet. So that includes, by the way, a diverse group of Jews. So it's not like, one portion of the Jewish population, the conservative Jewish population, represents the entire city. And that's really unfortunate. And I think for somebody who is that thoughtful to be going down such a brain warp, I've spent the better part of the last 2 decades fighting Andrew Cuomo. I do not want him to be mayor. But if he is mayor, I do hope that he acts in our best interests. And I think that's what you do when you live in a city that is up against people that you may not agree with, including Curtis Sliwa and Andrew Cuomo supporters, but you have to coexist. And the biggest issue facing the city right now, I think we can all agree, is affordability. And it's really sickening that he would put his own personal takes that are frankly out of line and not true, knowings are wrong, that he would put that above the livelihoods of so many New Yorkers. And this city will not succeed if we do not deal with the affordability crisis. And that hurts rich people too.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Elizabeth, unlike Naomi, you're no fan of Mamdani. How do you feel about his being called an obsessive Jew hater?
I don't think he's an obsessive Jew hater. I think he's a regular Jew hater. There's
What's
quite
he,
a few of them out
I'm
there.
sorry to interrupt you, but what
Yeah.
makes what I know I think it's fair to say he's doesn't have the same view of Israel as you do,
For
but
sure, but I know
but
a lot of people who truly don't agree with me
yeah,
on
but it's
Israel,
but
or
what
people that
but
have faded on Israel. But
I'm not trying to persuade you to think otherwise.
no, I know.
I just want to know, what has he done or said that make you comfortable calling him a Jew hater?
Yeah, I mean, when you don't think it's a problem to take on Linda Sarsour's endorsement, for example, have her be a part of your circle in your campaign. When you physically are unable to condemn Hamas. There was one point in time where he said, I'm sure, or I certainly believe Hamas and Israelis should lay down their arms. But he didn't condemn Hamas. I've never heard him condemn Hamas. I don't think that's a Jewish thing. That should just be a decent
Yeah.
American thing to do, condemn Hamas. And I would assume that comes more from his Jew hatred than his hatred of America. I don't know. I don't know anyone sane and decent and normal that can't condemn Hamas. I don't know anyone that can't condemn globalized Intifada. I mean, there's basic things, and I don't think he's like some weird, stupid guy who doesn't know what he's saying. I actually think he's incredibly intelligent. So the
Yeah.
only basic explanation is, not having a really, really
Do,
good spot for Jews in his heart.
do you think Tucker is a Jew hater?
Yeah, I
You
do.
do. Okay. And do you think the president who hasn't condemned Tucker is a Jew hater?
I don't, because I've talked to him about it quite a few times, and I don't think I've seen a president as supportive of the Jewish people in my lifetime as Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He did actually condemn Tucker when it came to Iran. He did say no one should listen to Tucker.
Right.
But
But he didn't condemn Tucker for doing a 2-hour softball interview with a guy who seems
he didn't.
he didn't.
No.
But
And I hope he will.
yeah.
But I mean, JD went out against Fuentes, which was good. In my brain, it's let's hope these people stop getting airtime and stop giving them attention. Unfortunately, Mamdani is about to take on a very important role. I think he's a lot more important than Nick Fuentes or even Tucker, who have major audiences but have absolutely zero power. Mamdani is about to be a very, very powerful person.
So I think Tucker is more powerful than Mamdani, at least right now. But okay. And again, I just want to stay on this for a second because I have such respect for both of you, and I know you're both speaking from both the head and the heart. But this guy's probably going to be mayor of New York City, and Elizabeth, you just again, I'm not saying you're doing it casually, but the opposite in a heartfelt way. You say he's a Jew hater, and the city's filled with Jews, and more Jews here, I think, than any other city in the world, right?
Outside Tel Aviv,
a lot of Jews that I love quite a bit who are terrified, absolutely terrified.
So how do we, Nomi, I know you care about him having a chance to govern if he wins. How do we, I say we in quotes, how does the city as a whole make people comfortable that the likely new mayor is not a Jew hater or an obsessive Jew hater? How does that happen?
Well, part of what's going to happen is the campaign's going to be over. This has been a tactic of Andrew Cuomo's since day one. He knew he could not build, his coalition out without having a conservative Jewish base, to the point where he became Islamophobic, and that the New York Post, sorry, I know we're on New York Post right now, has not been too friendly to Zohran either when it comes to his policies. You can criticize Israel, and you can be Jewish and criticize Israel, as so many Jews are right now, including in Israel. Let's not forget. But that doesn't make you a Jew hater. And so his positioning has actually been quite thoughtful if people actually pull back and listen to it. But unfortunately, in a campaign, people take things out of context, lie, smear, and they do it to anger, put things in the media, obviously. I think the bigger fear is that the wealthy know that they can't win on preventing them from being taxed, so they have to attack them from this angle. I know Linda Sarsour, for instance. I don't think you would call me a Jew hater. I've worked with her. I worked with her in the Bernie campaign. Bernie is a Jewish man who literally worked at a kibbutz. Would you call him a Jewish hater because Linda Sarsour was part of his campaign? Of course not.
I would.
So, guilt by association.
I actually would.
Elizabeth would.
Well, I think that's problematic because people have their identities and their faith, and they have a right to have their faith. If it brushes up against your faith, that might be your problem and not their problem.
Yeah, Elizabeth, let me ask you one more, and then we'll broaden out and talk about the election generally. If Mamdani called you tomorrow and he won, and he said, I heard what you said, and I want to do whatever you think would be required so you and your scared friends and relatives can feel peace, what would you ask him to do?
I mean, probably just hear us out. I am not someone who would say, hey, I'm not going to answer the phone or talk to you because we disagree. I know a lot of people, by the way, who are kind of rooting for him to win and for New York to learn its lesson, whatever that means. I am not one of those people. I love New York with my whole heart.
But when he heard you out, well, I'm sorry to interrupt. When you heard when you said hear me out, what would you just want to explain to him what's upsetting to everybody? Would you want him to say any specific things or do any specific things? Because he's committed to fight anti-Semitism. He's been endorsed by a lot of prominent Jews.
And rabbis, by the way. A lot of rabbis as well.
Reform rabbis.
Yeah. What?
No, he met in Orthodox Brooklyn with rabbis.
It's a community specifically that doesn't want Israel to exist.
Let's not overstate it, because a lot of rabbis didn't endorse him and spoke out against him.
And I don't believe rabbis, by the way, need to be speaking out on politics either.
Understood. But even what's the name of that woman on the East Side? What's the name of that rabbi? Woman rabbi, Korean American.
That's a whole other conversation.
Well, she didn't endorse, but she's normally stays far away from politics.
Right.
And she was pretty condemning. So again, I just say, are there things he can say or do constructively so that people don't think of him as an obsessive Jew hater? Is it too late? You all have seen his soul, and it's too late?
It can't be too late because he hasn't started yet, right? I mean, technically you can have an opinion on him, but it can't be too late because if he hasn't started yet, he still has a chance to be the greatest mayor of all time. I mean, anything's possible.
What if he agrees to have lunch with me at Katz's tomorrow? Would that do it?
I would make you wait until my flight got in so I could join you. But yeah, that would be good.
All right. I'll have what he's having. All right. Let's look at the races overall. Everybody's seen the polling. Let's look at our partners at Polymarket, who have up to date on the wagering of folks from around the world on the three marquee races. Let's first New York City, please. This moved a little bit, but now it's back to where it was. Mamdani close to his high, 92% chance of winning, according to the poly market bettors. Cuomo, 6.8%. Let's look at number 8, the New Jersey governor's race. This is surprising to me how far apart this is. Cheryl, given an 84% chance of winning by poly market wagers. Citarelli only 16%.
Wow.
And then let's poly market one more, the Virginia governor's race. This one also surprising in the sense that 99% for Spanberger. 99%, kind of extraordinary. Ladies, if you were to pick one race that interests you tonight, either because the outcome or some other, the demographics or whatever, Elizabeth, which of the three that most interests you and why?
I mean, probably New Jersey, just because so many people are predicting some kind of upset. I don't know if it's going to happen. I'd be very happy for Jack if it did. But I'd say probably New Jersey. I'm pretty confident in who's winning Virginia and New York City. I'm pretty confident in New Jersey too, but it would be a very cool upset to watch. And you never know, but I don't have much hope. I'm mostly just watching to see who votes how and what we can learn from midterms.
Yeah. Naomi, which of the three races interests you the most, and in what respect?
Well, of course, I'm interested in New York. I live here. This is an incredible moment. But aside from that, I'm interested in both. I think the Virginia element, just given how the shutdown plays a part in that, and how many government workers, in the Washington D.C. area are going to be affected, and how that might play out. And in Jersey, I mean, I'm not totally sold that Cheryl's going to win, but I'm not on the ground there. I just feel that Jersey is more conservative, or more Trumpian conservative, more like a New York conservative than maybe we're alluding to. But my sense is it's probably going to be a good night for Democrats still.
Yeah. The early turnout in New Jersey is lower in blue areas than in red.
Interesting.
But just by a couple points. And that's normal in an off year when the president's like this. Breaking news, the president has named Elon Musk's candidate to be head of NASA. He'd been named head of NASA, and then it was withdrawn, and Sean Duffy took over temporarily, but he's back. The Rocket Man is back, and it means Elon presumably will now write big checks for the midterms. And we've talked about the fact that in these races tonight, California, New Jersey, Virginia, and Virginia, New Jersey, California, Republicans badly outspent, which you wouldn't necessarily expect given that the Republicans control the White House. All right. Again, join us at 8 o'clock for our coverage with the New York Post, number 10, please. We'll be here from 8 o'clock on with lots of great guests here at New York Post from the New York Post newsroom. We'll see you at 8 o'clock for that. All right, let's talk about the shutdown. The Democrats and the Republicans both had their Senate lunches, as they do every Tuesday. And the word out of the Democratic lunch was that lots of Democratic senators now are involved in the talks. And of course, it'll only take 8 probably to reach some sort of agreement. But it's complicated because what that agreement will be, even if they in theory are willing to do something to make it happen. Back and forth today on the question of SNAP benefits. The president put on True Social this morning that despite a judge's order and what had been said previously, that they weren't going to pay the SNAP benefits. But then on True Social, the president, or not on True Social, but the White House then said that they would pay the benefits. Here is James Blair. He's basically the deputy chief of staff at the White House in charge of politics on Fox Business. Here's what he said about the shutdown today. 13, please.
Performative. We know that this is performative for the Democratic base, I think, largely by some senators. I think there are some Democrat senators that don't want to do this. Some have voted with the Republicans all along because they don't want to do this. I think some more have sort of been saying publicly they don't want to go along with this. There's obviously elections today that many people are saying the Democrats feel like they need to keep the government closed past today's elections so that they can somehow turn out their base. I don't know what their calculus is. Frankly, I don't really care. I don't think the president cares. I think what matters is what they're doing is wrong. It's hurting people. Okay. They should stop hurting.
Caroline Levitt at the briefing today, equally unyielding, equally determined to get the Democrats to just give in. Here's a bit of Caroline, number 14, please.
Administration is encouraging Democrats to reopen the federal government so this chaos and disruption to our air traffic control system in the United States of America stops. It is ridiculous that we have even gotten to this place and that the Democrats have continued to shut down the government with 35 days, our air traffic controllers continuing to work unpaid, every single major airline in our country coming out and begging the Democrats to please reopen the government. And you had a Democrat staffer who was quoted, I believe in Politico a few weeks back, saying, short of planes falling out of the sky, we are not going to reopen the government. That is reckless.
Enough of that. Here's the tweet I was looking for before. This is number 12. This is back to the SNAP benefit issue. And despite the fact that the president for a time seemed to say on True Social that he wasn't going to pay the benefits until Democrats gave in, now the Justice Department attorney says the USDA will comply and not defy the court order to make partial SNAP payments, but they're still partial and it'll still take a while to get them. Last voice on this is John Fetterman, who of course has supported ending the shutdown, be a clean CR for a bit. Here's Fetterman on Fox 15.
And that's where I'm at. And America's fly system, now that's now been impacted. I fly every week and I can see more and more delays and cancelings right there on the boards. So why would we want to mess with this now? We're just a couple weeks away from Thanksgiving. I think we've reached the point now. This really has to end. And it's not about the...
Elizabeth, it's closer to ending than it's been. I think it's safe to say. But do you think we're on the glide path to it ending, or we got a long way to go before it ends?
I actually do. I don't even know why. Like you said earlier, you can talk to these people every single day and still not have any real information. But I do feel as though we're much closer to it ending. I do not see it going anywhere close to Thanksgiving. And I do think after the elections are behind us, things will change drastically. I do think a lot of this was used as leverage to make sure that, supporters of the Democrat Party feel like their party is working for them and holding the government hostage and doing what they have to do and making sure they get out to the polls to vote against Donald Trump, which they've been rallying people since 2015 to do. And I just think when the elections are behind us, things will change a lot.
Nomi, I'm supposed to go to D.C. on Monday. I currently have a flight. Should I be booking on the $12 megabus, or do I have a chance to fly? Oh, sorry. Here you go. Unmute.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm in a green room and it's loud in here. I mean, I hear the point about the election, but I think that it's much more than that. I mean, yeah, I'm on a flight tomorrow to a conference and I'm like, am I going to leave? I don't know. I mean, that's the stuff that does annoy voters, but the truth is I just don't think it's sticking. I don't think people are really buying that it's the Democrats' fault. I think that they see this as a pattern of behavior with Trump and Trump's, the Republican Party that is going to have to distance themselves from Trump in some cases in the midterms. And, if it does veer up to Thanksgiving or even Christmas, it will have deep implications. But I mean, the Democrats do have leverage right now. And I think that they are holding the message. Some of the unions, I don't love that they're pushing back, but they've got to do what they need to do for their workers. But I think that the pressure should be almost entirely on Trump playing games with people's lives, which he's doing across the board, not just with the shutdown, but other actions, of course. And, I wish the Democrats would actually be a little bit more bold because I think that they could do a lot more with their leverage. I mean, you could have those workers that have been furloughed or those who've been fired, going to the front of the White House and protesting. You need visuals. And it just seems like the Democratic Party has forgotten how to organize and to push back in targeted ways that used to work, a decade or two ago. And I think part of that is just because the Democratic Party is completely controlled by corporate donations. So they just don't have that in them.
All right, we're going to get to your questions in a minute. So if you want to be in on the conversation, please raise your hand. My phone is frozen. I'm trying to get to here we go. The Marjorie Taylor Greene sound bites. She was very friendly with the ladies on The View. And you'll make of that what you will. Here are two sound bites from Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then you guys can just tell me what you think. 19A, her explaining her new place in the world and why she's often sometimes, or at least sometimes now, out of step with MAGA, or at least the president.
Both parties have failed.
Yeah.
Both parties have failed.
This is worse. Yeah. It's worse. Sorry. You know that. He's still your favorite president. He goes against everything you just said.
I like Donald Trump. I fought for him to win. I'm very thankful for the secure border. I'm friends with Laken Riley's mother. And we saw I serve on Homeland Security, over 12 million people came across our border, over 2 million gotaways. These are terrorists, cartels, all kinds of criminals. We don't know where they are in this country, and that affects all of us.
Okay, and here she is saying she's no longer a believer in QAnon, 19B.
I went over that a long time ago. I mean,
So you've changed.
Well, no, I haven't changed. I was a victim, just like you were, of media lies and stuff you read on social media. You all have attacked me many times on this show.
We have.
Because of things that you read about me that weren't true.
Or clips we've seen.
Or clips you've seen
The
that
Jewish space
took me out of
lasers, what was
context.
that about?
No, but
Wait, hold
not
up.
even true.
Let's
It's
take
been-
a second.
Yeah, it's been
I'm
rebuffed.
getting the.
Q is a patriot. He is someone that is very much loves his country, and he's on the same page as us, and he is very pro-Trump, okay? Now, he appears to have connections at the highest levels, all right? He's posted many things that seem to verify that he is the real deal, all right? So many of, it's not just someone poking in the dark, messing with people. The information that Q has revealed is mostly in the form of questions leading you to fill in the blanks. So he asks a whole bunch of questions, and then you're able to kind of come up with the answers. And sure enough, what comes out happens to come true. Okay? So he's like telling you in advance, kind of in the form of asking a bunch of questions. Okay, so something he talks about.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought we were going back to her. I wouldn't have played all of that. Elizabeth, not AI, just what's your like human reaction to Marjorie Taylor Greene yucking it up on the set with Joy and everybody else?
Yeah, I mean, I watched this earlier. I'm the only conservative I know who loves The View as much as I do, and I have yet to miss an episode. I tuned in right away, obviously knowing she'd be on there. I wasn't surprised by her. I was surprised by them. They seemed like really interested in being her friend compared to
Yeah.
like how they treated Cheryl Hines just a week or two ago. I thought that was interesting.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, I thought that was a little strange, especially considering everything they've said about her, some of which is justified, most of which was not. But I thought they'd want to, attack her a little more. Maybe it's because it looks like she's against Donald Trump right now. They thought now was the time to swoop in and be her best friend. I don't know. I thought it was strange, but it's 10 minutes, it's TV. I don't take it too seriously.
Nomi.
I'm just curious what she's pivoting for. I mean, she said she's not running for statewide office, but clearly she's running for some office. She's read the polls. She sees where people in her district and possibly beyond stand. And also, nobody mentions QAnon anymore. So clearly that's people aren't in that space anymore. So she's definitely pivoting in some direction, but loyal to Trump. She will not let go of Trump because, I mean, look at someone like George Santos. George Santos's politics have shifted. They're aligned quite a bit. He's independent now, but of course, Donald Trump freed him, but he still is incredibly loyal to Trump. So I think the factor here is you just don't cross Trump, but your politics can shift as the country shifts.
But you think there's 0% chance it's anything but political?
I think I've heard that she on Palestine was moved by her daughter, which might be true too, but I do think it's still political at the end of the day. I mean, even her tone shifted. She's definitely been media trained for sure. If anybody's done media trainings, you know very well that tone shift is quite intentional.
Yeah, but well executed.
Very well executed. I mean, I saw her on Real Time and I was like, okay, why am I agreeing with you?
Yeah.
But
I did a long interview with her, I don't know, 5 years ago at CPAC. And I asked nothing. I just asked biographical questions. And that's what she was like. She was calm and kind of like almost vulnerable. So she's had it in her for a while, but I still find the whole thing incredible. Cargo plane.
She's a politician, Mark.
Yeah,
That's
but
shocker.
but her brand was something else before.
Yes.
Plane crash, Lexington, Kentucky. The video is quite something. Cargo plane, UPS cargo plane, 3 people reportedly on board. Obviously, people are going to wonder whether it's connected at all to the shutdown and air traffic control. But the authorities say that it's quite a scene. Fire and debris, warning residents to stay away. Do we have the video? Noah, I don't know if we.
Yes, we do. Here we go.
It's really bad.
Just watch it.
Get the fuck away from here, like turn around. Bro, no, hold on. I think it's gonna crash, bro. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. Damn, they're dead. They are dead, bro.
Yeah, quite something. All right, we'll let you know if anything happens on that between now and the end of the program. A horrible, horrible thing. All right, quick word from another sponsor and then to your questions. So please, if you're here on the platform, want to talk to Naomi and Elizabeth, please raise your hand. Sponsor now, takelean.com. Fad diets are in the past. It doesn't work. It leads to weight cycling, where your weight goes up and then back down. It leads to all sorts of problems, diabetes, liver damage, etc. There's a better way to do it, and many folks have turned to lean, takelean.com, for a method developed by doctors. It's an oral supplement. It's not a GLP-1 injectable, and it can help you maintain healthy blood sugar, control appetites and cravings, and burn fat by converting it to energy. So if you want to lose weight in a meaningful weight in a healthy way, and keep the weight off, give lean a try. Go to takelean.com, enter the promo code 2way for 20% off. Again, that's takelean.com, promo code 2way for 20% off. Don't do something that will cause you to weight cycle, be unhealthy. Don't put strain on your organs and your body, potential health problems. Try takelean.com, promo code 2way, 20% off. Thank you for your attention to that matter. All right, folks, we'll bring you in. You'll tell us where you are for folks who don't know. And we'll start with Kay. Kay, welcome in. Unmute. Tell folks who don't know what exotic location you're in. And then
I'm in St. Thomas, United
yeah.
States Virgin Islands.
Yeah. Question for Elizabeth and for Naomi.
Yes, I noted in one of the polls that was just recently released that Curtis Sliwa, of the foreign-born folks who were polled, 12% approved. Andrew Cuomo, 24%. And Mamdani, 62%. How much of a factor is this foreign-born vote, do you believe, versus, let's say, the youth vote?
I think it overlaps too. I mean, you also have to see what generation. I think one of the things that Zohran was so good at doing in the primary was he would tap into, let's say, the South Asian community in particular, younger South Asian voters who then go and talk to their parents and the elders, and he was expanding their electorate that way. And it's been very successful. It's relational organizing, essentially. You know, New York's a diverse city, obviously. So there's quite a few foreign-born folks, immigrants, that are now citizens, obviously voting. And that makes up a big part of who we are. I'm not surprised that some would vote for Curtis Sliwa, because there's also conservative folks too. And Curtis does offer something that is unique. I mean, he is not Andrew Cuomo. He has really creative policies on housing. And like, people are mocking him, but Curtis Sliwa has been around forever. Mm-hmm. He was married to the former Queen's DA, or the current Queen's DA. And he's married to another person that was related to politics. I mean, now, he has been around for a long time. He used to have a segment on New York One regularly. He's not a total joke. Like, people are trying to make him out to be that way. There's actual real organizing. It's just there's not enough Republican voters in New York.
Right.
Elizabeth.
And Elizabeth, I have to tell you, you're brave to watch The View. That's my idea of torture. I'd have to be strapped down, duct tape in the chair, and my eyes super glued open to watch The View. So God bless you.
Kay, thank you. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Grateful to you. All right, let's stay with New York. Max lives in New York. Max, welcome in. Unmute. Question, comment for Naomi and for Elizabeth.
Yeah, I think that Mamdani's going to get over 50% of the vote, so it doesn't matter if Sliwa would stay in the race. That's what I think. But everyone's talking about how Mamdani is so authentic and how he's so slick. I'd like to ask the two women who are younger, that generation. I just think that your generation is so much more comfortable in front of a camera because of social media. It's basically a new way of political warfare is what you're seeing, and the older, politician who does things and says things because the focus group tells him is always going to come off as inauthentic. It's the same way why Ukraine is battling Russia to a standstill, just because we're seeing new technology, new warfare. I think I'd like your idea. That's why Donald Trump resonates, because even though he's old, his authentic self, I believe, is the most honest person from thought to speech that ever lived, because I don't think he thinks twice saying anything that comes into his head. But Zohran is just being him, and that's why I think he's resonating. What are your thoughts?
Elizabeth first.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Donald Trump. I don't think it's an age thing. I think it's a how long have you been in politics thing. Because truly the problem with so many people in politics is that they're inauthentic, and they're inauthentic because before social media existed, you could actually get away with being inauthentic. You could plan questions ahead of time. You could plan reactions ahead of time. You could, make sure that no one was caught off guard in any angle that went viral. It was a very easy time. And Donald Trump came up really at the same time that social media kind of took over all of our lives, and he took advantage of that. I know him very well. He is the most authentic politician there has ever been and probably ever will be. But he's also older, so I don't think age is a good enough excuse. I just think when you watch Andrew Cuomo on stage with Mamdani, and I was watching it with my dad in that first debate, and my dad did not follow too much of the race, and he just said, this is embarrassing. I grew up in New York City. My dad worked for a lot of prominent Democrats. And to have someone that's been in that world for that long be just torn to shreds, embarrassed on a debate stage by Mamdani, who is so young and so new to this, just shows that authenticity matters. And it's also incredibly hard to fake. And it's harder to fake if you've been a lifelong politician. There's a reason that things go viral these days that people don't understand why. It's because unless you're authentic, you're not going to get it. So I think Donald Trump is a great example. Mamdani is a great example. But it's less about age and more about genuinely how long you've been in the political game and if you've been trained to do it a certain way, or if you could actually sit down and take a 3-hour podcast, for example, with Joe Rogan, which I think many old school Democrats, old school Republicans are just unable to handle, unable to do. And that's the new game. And I think people like Mamdani are going to pave the way, because unless you can sit and talk for 3 hours with someone who disagrees with you and without pre-scripted questions, you can no longer get elected in this country.
Well said. Nomi.
I agree with a lot of that. I think, we can't deny the fact that Zaran is extremely comfortable in front of a camera. I mean, he is the son of a very, very well-known filmmaker. So he has probably a little bit more media savvy than even the average person, his age. Thank you for lumping me in that generation, by the way. I am I'm definitely not 34, but I'll take it.
No worries.
I appreciate that. No, but there is truth to that. Like, it's, as you do get older, you do lose touch with technology. I mean, I was a digital native. I worked for digital media companies, and I'm even like, what now? What's this new trend? So, being on top of it, I think is extremely important. And in my work with politicians, like that's some of the stuff that we're trying to do, is making sure that these politicians, these progressives, are on top of the latest trends, because they change so fast. So, I do hear what you're saying, but I also do think that technology is a big part of it.
Do you guys think that is there a world where you see more incumbents getting challenged by this new media type of person that never was in politics at all? Zero, literally less than Mamdani. Do you see that coming on the right, or do you see it coming on the left, or both?
Both.
Max, if you owned an establishment that served alcohol, you'd card both guests, right?
I would card both guests.
Yes,
that is correct.
Thank you.
Making sure. Thank you, Max. Appreciate it. He's right. We'd card you both. All right. All right. Let's try Nick. Nick, welcome in. Thanks for being here. Tell the audience where you are and what's on your mind.
Hey, Mark, thanks for bringing me in here. I am currently in Florida, but I am a lifelong born and bred New Yorker, as you can tell from the accent. Born and raised in Brooklyn, lived in Manhattan for a number of years, moved out to Jersey.
How do you pronounce Youze? How do you pronounce that?
Use.
Use. Okay, just checking.
And the Utes, like they say in My Cousin Vinny. So, yeah. So, by the way, Mark, shout out to Cozy Earth. My wife loves the sheets and towels. We love them. Yeah. Okay.
Do you get them because of me?
We got them through. We use the discount code.
All right. Awesome.
So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Tell everybody how nice the sheets are.
The sheets are great. The towels are even better. So get Cozy Earth. They're the greatest.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Lifelong New Yorker. I do not like Mamdani. Respect to Nomi, but honestly, I think bringing in a 33-year-old, zero experienced person to run the largest, most important city in the country, if not the world, is crazy. That would be. I've worked in corporate finance my whole career. That would be like bringing in a college graduate to run, Amazon as a CEO. It's crazy. Thoughts and prayers to New York City. I really hope that they do something here. I blame Andrew Cuomo for not dropping out. It should have been Sliwa and Mamdani, and it should have been that way. I think Cuomo should have not been there. As far as affordability, Nomi, you talked about it earlier. The Democrats have been running New York City pretty much my whole life, with the exception of those 8 years during Giuliani. Okay, Bloomberg was more to the left than I thought he was to the right. But anyway, so I guess my question is to the both of you. By the way, Elizabeth, you should be the fill-in host when Alyssa goes on vacation on The View. My question is, if Mamdani wins, what do you think this is going to do for the governor's race next year, which I hope is going to lean towards the Republican side? What do you think that's going to do to that race?
Yeah, two things. First of all, Nomi, your background noise is fine. You don't need to mute.
Okay.
I know it probably seems like it's loud there to you, but we don't hear it. Elizabeth, it is a good question beyond the governor's race question. Is why aren't you on The View? I mean, do you have do you not have a good enough agent? Okay. Governor's race. What's the impact? We've seen both Hochul obviously endorsing Mamdani, and then we've seen the likely Republican nominee, Elise Stefanik, talking on and on about Mamdani and Hochul's connection. So, Elizabeth, how do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, I have heard some people say the Mamdani win would help Stefanik. I don't know. It would depend how much, is actually done so quickly and how people feel. I think it's possible. I know a lot of New Yorkers that would have voted for Stefanik that just left. I'm also a born and bred New Yorker who's sitting here coming to you from Florida. A lot of people that would have voted for Stefanik are no longer there. At the same time, New York City is very blue, and the rest of New York is very purple, if not red, in a lot of parts. I think it's possible. He'd have to do a lot of damage to make sure that it actually really helped Stefanik. I know a lot of people talked about Lee Zeldin getting close. He did great, but he didn't get that close. So I don't think I'm going to, sit here and say that's the next governor. I think there's a chance, but I'm not of the sect of Republicans who's like hoping for Mamdani to get in, do a terrible job, and have Elise win. I want things to be good the entire time, and I hope for the best. But look, there's a chance. He'd have to do a lot of damage for it to actually help Elise Stefanik become the governor of such a blue state.
Nomi.
I completely agree with you. And let's factor in the fact that Zohran has been organizing voters in this city that have not been engaged. I mean, the turnout right now is very high, partly because of that. And that potentially will linger in a race with Elise Stefanik and Kathy Hochul. Of course, Kathy Hochul is not as far left as I would like and others would like. But, in the face of Elise Stefanik, I think we'd be happy to turn out and vote for her. I mean, there's also rumors that like Richie Torres is going to run. I mean, he said no, but then there's some other people in the press saying he's still thinking about it. Brock Pierce, the crypto guy, has said he's going to run for governor out of vengeance against Eric Adams or something. And by the way, Eric Adams used to be Republican. Bloomberg used to be Republican. Giuliani was Republican. Ed Koch was basically Republican. And let's not forget that crime was the lowest in history under de Blasio. So,
Mr. de Blasio to you.
Oh my goodness.
Nick, thank you. Grateful to you. Here's a question from the exit poll, ladies. What percent of voters who voted today in New York City consider themselves Democratic Socialists? What percentage of the electorate do you think consider themselves Democratic Socialists? Naomi, what do you think? What percentage?
Oh, this is such a great question. This is general election voters in total. We're not percentage of Democratic voters.
No, of the electorate.
Oh, the electorate. I'll say 9%.
9%. I'm assuming they went back in the methodology and did people who voted early. It'd be nuts if they didn't. 9%. Nomi, what would your answer to that question be?
Yes.
You're one of
I'm
the
no
nine.
longer. You mean am I?
Yeah. Would you consider yourself a Democratic Socialist?
In theory, but not in membership anymore.
Well, how would you answer the polling question? Do you consider yourself a Democratic Socialist?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Elizabeth, I don't need to ask you if you're a Democratic Socialist, but what percentage of the electorate in the mayor's race do you think said they were?
I'm scared. I would bet like 15, 16%, but I'm hoping I'm wrong.
When I tell you the number, you'll say Mamdani's going to win. 26%.
There it is.
What?
Yeah.
26%.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
Now, maybe they restricted it to just people who live in my building, because then it would definitely be 26% or higher. 26% according to the exit polls. say Democratic Socialist. Wow.
It is
Okay.
going up quite a bit. I just
Yeah.
thought that was more of a primary,
Yeah.
like,
I remember a couple years ago in Iowa, they asked the question of the Democratic electorate, and it was like, I think it was like 40% or something said they were socialist. All right, quick word from another sponsor, and then back to your questions. Again, if you're here on the platform, you want to ask ladies a question, please raise your hand. Last, one of the last sponsors tonight, Cornbread Hemp. Cornbread Hemp. If life's been a little crazy lately and you're looking to unwind, for many people, Cornbread Hemp CBD gummies are the answer. Natural way to achieve pain relief and deal with discomfort. They're formulated to work with your body, not against it. If you've tried everything for peace of mind and to relax and nothing's worked, it's time to try Cornbread Hemp CBD gummies made with the best part of the hemp plant, the flower, for the purest and most potent CBD. Again, formulated to relieve discomfort, stress, and sleeplessness. All products third-party lab tested and USDA organic to ensure safety and purity. Right now, watchers and listeners of this program can save 30% off their first order. Go to cornbreadhemp.com/two-way. Use the code two-way at checkout. 30% off your first order. Again, cornbreadhemp.com/two-way. Use the code two-way. Our coverage tonight, starting in an hour and 10 minutes with the New York Post, is brought to you by our friends at Fairway and Green. And a special tonight, 25% off election special. Go to two-way.tv/fairway and save 25% off using the special code election25. I'm wearing one of the shirts right here. You can get the stuff that says two-way or morning meeting or just plain, but 25% off. It's the nicest golf apparel I've ever worn. Everything they make is spectacularly comfortable. I had a man at a restaurant yesterday who recognized me and recognized I was wearing Fairway and Green, touch my shirt. Stranger, he said, Mark, I want to touch your shirt. Like Peter Sellers, touch my monkey. He touched my shirt and he judged it to be quite soft. Fairway and Green strikes the perfect balance, polished enough for the office, as you can see, relaxed enough for the golf course, made for the New Yorker or anybody who moves between both with ease. Again, go right now to two-way.tv/fairway. Use the promo code election25 for 25% off. Justin, welcome in. Unmute. Tell everybody where you are, what's on your mind for Nomi and for Elizabeth.
Hello, Mark. Thank you for calling on me.
Yes, sir.
I'm in Tyler, Texas. I'm a three-time Trump voter, and I don't have a question about the elections today. I think they're important, but not for most people in the country.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask
about whatever you like.
Yeah, the president, since he was elected for a second non-consecutive term, I hear a lot of Republicans talking about what the midterms will look like, who the next presidential candidate will be, 2028, 4 years away. I hear Democrats feeling like all hope is lost, at least in the short term. But we talk on this program about what's next. There's a couple more reconciliation bills likely before the midterms. I think the president will govern after the midterms. Executive power, legislative power. What does the rest of the 3.5 years look like? He's likely not going to be impeached or removed or have staff, which undermines him this time around. There's just been so much that's happened already.
Yeah.
I don't feel like people stop and think, well, what else is coming? Is it good? Is it bad? Can we influence it?
Great question. And obviously a big part of the challenge will be about 60 votes in the Senate, anything he wants to do legislatively. So Elizabeth, what do you see as the president getting done, particularly domestically? I think internationally he'll do more, but that's a little bit less predictable maybe. But what can he get done domestically?
I mean, I'm glad you clarified. I think because the world is literally crumbling, he's kind of had to become this like foreign policy president. I think things are a lot more challenging here in the country. Look, I think he's going to pay attention to what happens tonight. He's very aware of what historically happens during midterms when, the party that's not in power tends to win. And I think he knows that he has to get a lot done before then. At the same time, like you said, Democrats would have to win quite a few seats if they wanted to go and impeach him again, which I know that they do. Look, it depends what we're talking about exactly, but this is a man who does not sleep and does not stop and who, is pretty aware that he's probably not going to run again in 2028 and needs to get everything done in the next 3 years. And I assume that he is going to shock the world with how much he gets done. But again, it all kind of depends on how the midterms go. And we're all very, very aware of that deadline.
Naomi, what about before the midterms? What do you imagine the president's domestic agenda being
Oh my
between
God,
in the
God
next
help
year?
us. I think he's going to try to dismantle the Department of Education. No joke. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Project 2025 is clearly a blueprint, but who knows? We're going to go to war in Nigeria, I guess, and overthrow Maduro. I know we're talking about domestic, but you know that has implications. But I don't think it bears well for the midterms. I don't even think this is about the Republican Party anymore. I think this is about just deconstructing the United States. I'm not trying to like be alarmist here or like a Russiagate person, but nobody in their right mind would do some of these actions if they wanted to keep the Republican Party alive or if they wanted to win midterms. That's my opinion.
Okay. Justin, thank you. All right. Here's a good tea leaf. And this is the kind of thing I won't say you wouldn't hear anywhere else, but I doubt you'd hear it too many places. Dave Wasserman. Dave Wasserman is a political analyst, works for the Cook Political Report with Amy Walter. Really aggressive about projecting races. Tonight, he just tweeted out he's got the honor of working at the NBC News decision desk. So if he's on the decision desk, he can't be out there tweeting his own stuff. And he's famous for the tweets that say, "I've seen enough." That's like the catchphrases. "I've seen enough." Hillary Clinton's going to win Wisconsin. And so people look him because, well, just what we call hypothetical or counterfactual. He's really aggressive. So a lot of people follow him on Twitter because he sees a lot of data. And if he says, "I've seen enough," Ron DeSantis is going to be reelected, he's almost never wrong. In fact, I'm not sure he's ever been wrong because he's very aggressive but very careful. So here's what he just tweeted. And I say this to anybody who's thinking maybe Cheryl might lose or maybe Cuomo could somehow win. He says, "I'm honored to be working on the decision desk, but because I'm doing that, I won't be live calling races on here, on Twitter." But then listen to this. See if you guys read this the same way I do. "That said, I think the only real questions tonight are the margins." Now, to me, that means the guy has seen the early data because he's on the decision desk. He's broken the rules, and he's basically saying you can count on Mamdani, Cheryl, and Spanberger to win. Nomi, you read it the way I do?
I think so, yeah. I mean, all the bets that we're having on in New York is, well, what are the margins?
Yeah.
Definitely over 50. I think it might even creep up towards 70, just given the early numbers. Like some of those early numbers, because remember, he's on the Democratic line. So you can see through some of these results how many Democrats are voting versus independent. Now, it's not always accurate. I agree. Yeah.
Elizabeth, you read it my way?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I have a little piece of my brain that's like, remember 2016 when there was a 2% chance you were going to win and you did, but I think that's exactly what's going to happen tonight.
I think that's the biggest tell I've seen so far. And again, if you're on the decision desk, you're seeing the early data in a very comprehensive way. And you're also seeing the first and by now the second wave of the exit polls. And while the exit polls are not infallible, if somebody's, getting 70% of the vote, they're going to win by more than 50%, just as a crude approximation. All right, ladies, always so happy to have you here, particularly on big nights when you're so calm, cool, and collected and knowledgeable. So thank you both for being here. And I think we're seeing you both in our special coverage, right?
It'll be even louder when I call you later because I'll be at the party.
That's where's the party? In Queens?
I can't say. I'm not allowed to say.
Okay. Is it in an opium den? Can you say that?
No. By the way, there's a ton of parties all around the city on behalf of the campaign, but this one's like the one that.
If anybody's eating rice with their hands, we want to know because that's become like a.
By the way, that's an ethnic thing, and I think
it is an ethnic thing. But somebody came on the platform, I think this morning, and said only low class people do it, and I'm like, no, wrong. I do it. If I'm in an Ethiopian restaurant, I don't need a utensil.
It's just people who don't understand,
different cultures. Yeah,
exactly.
All right. So again, in 1 hour, please join us on our specialized coverage with the New York Post. My colleagues Lydia Moynihan, Ricky Schott, and I, along with a bunch of people, New York Post reporters and two-way colleagues and great guests, including the two ladies who joined us here, Nomi and Elizabeth. Throughout the evening, we'll be on with you for a good long while. So join us at 8 o'clock. You can go to 2way.tv if you want to join here on the platform or watch on YouTube or on either of our YouTube channels or either of our websites or on Twitter. It's everywhere. And then Michael Moynihan on right now, 7 o'clock Eastern time. My new episode of Next Up, recorded this afternoon. I believe the debate format with timed answers and people behind podiums and buzzers, and a bunch of political questions where the moderators are trying to look smart. I think that's broken and wrong. And I'm for a different thing. I'm for letting the candidates just talk about substance, where the moderators just kind of keeping them equal time and balance. That's what I did today. Two candidates running for governor of California Stephen Klubeck, Steve Hilton, one Democrat, one Republican. In California, everybody runs on the same ballot. A long, substantive conversation, very interesting, because I wouldn't let it be boring. They're two interesting guys. Go listen to that on YouTube, watch it on YouTube, or listen to it as a podcast. It's a model, I believe, for how debates should be. And they both were super interesting. And although they're running for governor of California, the issues they talk about, crime, transportation, education, the economy, they pertain to every state. So please go watch, listen to that. You got an hour now between now and then if you want to spend it watching that show. Otherwise, watch it later. And again, we'll all see you at 8 o'clock and then tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time, the morning meeting. Grateful to everybody for being here, particularly Nomi and Elizabeth. And we'll see you at 8 o'clock from the New York Post. Have a good hour. See you then.